The interesting Mayos continue. Bill made a great point about what people see when they're growing up. What you see is kind of what you accustomed to. And that really does affect people's lives. I don't think people really realize that and understand that, how important it is to be in the right environment, to see the right things in life. Well, we're going to continue with part 3 of the Mayos and kind of get an insight on what I saw when I was growing up. Hope you enjoy.
There's room for you, room for me, for gentle hearts and opportunity. Stay strong, love. It's the bigger love of the family.
Early age, y'all saw it, but I know people who just didn't see that at an early age.
Or see it, period.
Right, I don't know. I didn't see what y'all saw at an early age. I grew up street way and saw that street lifestyle and thought that was the lifestyle that needed to be done. But I was still different in a certain way because I knew that I'm not a street guy. I lived a little bit, but it wasn't for me. Tried it out, like, nah, I can't go to jail. I like my freedom. I can't stand to be told what to do because I have a hard time in life anyway. That's why I didn't go to the military. Tried it, went AWOL. I can't stand to be told what to do. I got my own mind. I know how to think myself. I don't need you to tell me what to do. So going to jail is not an option for me at all. So therefore, if I can't stand jail, I don't do the things to go to jail.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of simple.
So what was the environment like that you only saw like that?
Oh yeah, I only saw the drug dealing, and they look great to me. They, like I said, they got nice cars, they wore the nice clothes, women everywhere. They did what they wanted to do when they wanted to do it.
But did you see some of them go to jail? Like, what was the deterrence? Because if that was the good life and that's all you saw, then why didn't you just go that way?
No, I didn't see them go to jail, but when you know that that's a possibility in your life,
Right.
you know, when
Anything at any time.
right,
Yeah.
right, and once I decided not to go that route, the stories I heard and knew about as far as one of these guys, he was a great guy. He wasn't a street guy either at all, but he got killed for his dope.
Yeah.
And that kind of shocked Elberton, that one from Elberton, because everybody knew that guy. He was a great guy.
How old was he?
18 when he got killed for his dope.
That's young.
You know, it's funny. Where I grew up in Queens, in Cambridge Heights, Queens Village area, Hollis. I saw all of that. I was around all the time. Gangs was a big deal then. You know, Seven Crowns, Seven Immortals, the Dark Angels, Ace of Spades. These all these gangs in Hollis and Cambridge Heights. But if you played ball, you were like given a pass.
Yeah.
You know, like you
They're
didn't
not
have
gonna
right,
recruit you.
They're not gonna recruit you, and they're not gonna let nobody else mess with you because you repping their neighborhood as like you the ball player.
Yeah, ball player in the neighborhood,
Like,
yeah.
nah, you know, my nickname was Bank. They used to call me Bank back in the day, and they're like, nah, you know, like he good. You coming in the park? Yeah, come on in. You come in.
Oh.
Who with you? Oh, y'all
Okay.
good. You know.
See, they had their own code too. They're not all bad, but from the outside they look bad. But like I said, they protected you, so
Exactly,
to speak.
right. You know, like I grew up with these guys, but I've seen guys later on in life that I'm like, oh man, like I seen he fell on hard time, and this guy was like the terror of the neighborhood, you know, like because people ain't want to mess with him. You know, you mess with him, you got a whole bunch of folks to be with. But part of too, my dad, even though him and my mom divorced, like I said, my dad was in publishing. So my dad used to go to work in a shirt and tie and carried a briefcase.
See,
So
he saw success.
So I saw that, right? So I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I know I was going to be carrying a briefcase and wearing a tie.
Right.
Like that's what you do. That's how you make money. So whatever I do is going to be that. His brother was a firefighter in New York City Fire Department. You know, they had a nice, beautiful home out on Long Island. My other uncle, whose eulogy I just did a couple months ago, my Uncle Greg, God rest his soul, was in the Air Force. You know, so he was, you know, this big, captain in the Air Force. So I seen these people. So I had these models in my family, right? And I was like, okay, like the Mayos, we about taking care of business. So that was always just, it was, no matter how much partying, getting high, cutting school, doing whatever, fooling around. I was doing. I knew that you do all that, but you better be taking care of your business.
Right.
Like that was like, okay, that's the rule. You like, if I'm gonna do all of that, I gotta be able to take care of business. I can't be cutting up and fail at school or not doing nothing.
Wow.
You can't do both. You gonna play, you gotta work too.
It's like Sandy had a foundation. He actually had a foundation as well, and it kind of kept bringing him back to it.
True.
You know?
So true.
So the foundation is important.
Extremely.
The start.
Extremely important. Extremely important.
So you mentioned job, work. So you graduated. Did you start working once you graduated?
So I graduated, went to law school, as I said, and after that year, I realized it's not going to happen. And then also, what happened was, because I was still going to Hofstra, and Hofstra was within commuting distance of where I grew up. Sandy was on campus, but I moved back home, so I'm back in the neighborhood. I got a degree. I'm in law school, and I'm in the neighborhood with all my old friends and everything. And it was like, I don't belong here. Like I'm out of place. Like, I don't fit here anymore. I can't stay here. And it was hard because now I'm back with my mom and my sister. They're happy to have me home, but it's like, this is not.
Life brings
I'm
about
grown
changes.
up. I'm a man now. I'm a grown man.
Yeah, you do.
I need to start living my own life.
Places.
So I was like, okay, well, if I ain't gonna go to law school, I gotta get a job. I need to get a job. And I was like, okay, what do you do? He's like, you know what you do good. You need to get into management somehow. But who's gonna hire a 21-year-old manager anywhere? But I got that's the good thing about being in New York, right? There's opportunities everywhere, right? Grand opportunity. So I connected with an employment agency. I forgot the woman's name. But anyway, she sent me on a couple of interviews, and I interviewed with this company called the Wells National Service Corporation. This was a subsidiary of the American Hospital Supply Corporation, located on 3 Park Avenue. If you ever see the New York City skyline, it's a big orange skyscraper that's in close proximity to the Empire State Building. We were on the 37th floor of that building. It was on 34th and Park. And the position was a patient service manager. And so what the opportunity was to manage a group of hospitals that had television sets mounted to the walls. If you're a patient in the hospital, you see the TV on the wall or the TV on the arm. We were the company that put those and hung them up and then go around and collect the money for them. And so, you had to have staff to do that, and you have that mechanics to fix the TVs and everything. And then they had to have a person that would supervise a group of hospitals, and there were about 5 managers in the metropolitan area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area. And so, interestingly, when I was interviewing for the position, the director of HR was on vacation. So the president of the company, this gentleman, Henry Barry, had to interview me. And when Henry Barry realized that I went to Hofstra, I was a Hofstra graduate, Hofstra carried some weight, right? He was like, okay. He's like, oh, you guys from Hofstra? I'm like, okay, tell me a little bit about yourself. So he was intrigued, like, a little black kid, from Hofstra. So come to find out, the CFO of the company was also a Hofstra graduate. So he like, Alan Schwartz was this guy's name. He's like, oh, okay. He said, oh, I got you. You got to meet Alan. He's graduated many years before you, but he's an alumni too. Anyway, long story short, I got hired there, and that's how that started my professional career.
So I bet you that was interesting to have majored in broadcasting, and then wanted to get a job in management, applied for a job after graduation for a managing position that also entails some of that, like you said, you have to have mechanics to hang this and that. Yeah, but, so you got that. So you're kind of like the best of both worlds. You know what I'm saying? It's like even if my guy can't make it, I'll just hang it up for him. That's awesome. So I can imagine what that conversation was like when you did interview with the president. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, that company was funny. That I worked there for 11 years, from 82 to more than that, from 82 to 93, right before Samara was born.
Okay.
And went through a series of promotions. I was a patient service manager, then I became a region manager, then I became an account executive, Then I became the area director. But I when I left, I had my boss's job.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Talk about how God moves.
Yeah, I was the area, and Sandy will tell you, I had this, you talk about corner office in Manhattan, I had
Oh my.
3 corners of my office with glass and had a view of New Jersey. But I could never enjoy it in the summertime or during the day, because that's the side the sun was on. So I was like, that's why they stuck me in this corner.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody in here, because I was like,
He's used to it.
right there. It was so hot there, but I was like 34, I think, at the
Yeah,
time.
young.
So it was making good money. Bought a house, and we moved to New Jersey. You know, we moved out of Queens and everything. Kids was born and everything. But what was interesting was that business started to become obsolete because they had introduced something called DRGs, which is like diagnostic related groups, meaning if you went to the hospital to have like an appendectomy or something, you could be in the hospital for a week. But with the DRGs, they started saying, okay, for that type of procedure, you only need to be in the hospital for 3 days. The hospital's only going to be reimbursed by the insurance company for about 3 days. And then they started saying, okay, well, let's just do it for 2 days, because hospitals were like, well, we got to become more profitable. So instead of you staying for 3 days, they'd only keep you for 2 days, but they'd be reimbursed for 3. Well, what happens the next year is 1 day. What happens the next year is same day surgery.
Same day,
But they're still being
right.
reimbursed for all these days.
Outpatient.
But that's how they're making But that's how they make their profit. And our contracts were predicated on census. People had to be in the beds to rent the TVs, and then also we started doing telephones also. But if there's no patient in the bed, you can't. There's no money to be generated because there's no rental, because there's nobody there. And our contracts were 5-year, 8-year contracts or whatever. So any day, it's not like when I went on to consumer products, if I didn't sell this case of Oreos today, I can sell it tomorrow. But if you don't rent this TV today, that's a day in the life of the contract you'll never get back.
Right.
So our revenues started declining dramatically. And I was like, I like the way this is going.
I was about to say,
personally, I was doing okay,
early.
but I was looking down the road saying, like, what's coming? What's going to be next? And I was like, this is not going to last. This is not sustainable. And so,
hold on one second. So, when he told you he had a job, you were still in college, and I'm quite sure you came like, "Hey, baby, I got a job." Yeah. So what happened when he told you? Did you think like,
What went through your mind?
yeah, what went through your mind?
I don't have to do community service anymore, so because he could buy my books.
She was still trying to finish school. Thank God you got a job.
So and give me my quarters to play Miss Pac-Man.
Yes, Miss Pac-Man.
No, but I was happy for him, because when you're in college, you go there as a freshman, and you're thinking
gonna last
these
forever.
4 years or 5 years, they're gonna last forever. It's never gonna come to an end. But when I saw him graduate, I was like, okay, it does end.
Right.
That's
So
almost seeing someone ahead of you, like you saw your cousins and stuff. Seeing it actually unfold.
Right.
Yeah.
So now he tell you, I have a job. So by him saying he has a job, did you think like, okay, it's time to get married now, we've been engaged too long?
No, because I'm not done with school yet.
Okay.
I need my degree. I need my degree. And we were young.
Yeah.
We were young. I
He
mean,
finished
Yeah,
with 21.
Yeah, I was 21 when I graduated.
yeah.
She was, 17, 18? You were 18.
When you
See, it's hard to tell. So I'm officially, when we met, I was like 2.5 years older than her.
Right.
But now I'm like 6 years older than her. I don't know what's happened over the years. So I'm never quite sure. I gotta check in to see what this age gap is now.
It's that
Somehow
new
I'm getting
man.
older than her.
Yeah, it's that new man that got going on.
And so when I saw him go out there and be successful, graduate and get a job, I'm like, oh,
My turn.
you can accomplish this.
Right.
You
So when did y'all get married?
We were engaged for 5
1984.
years.
Yeah.
5 years.
Right.
You hear that man?
I did hear him.
5
Yeah, they say
years.
5 years.
Yeah.
That was
But we were in our 20s.
She had put that far.
You said it.
Yeah, just true. Okay,
You know,
all right.
the whole world is in
Yeah.
front of us.
So, you know, so my one, you know, I can count the regrets in life on one hand. If it won't take my whole hand, I regret very little things that's happened in my life. But one thing I do regret is that I didn't get down on one knee and officially propose to Sandy, nor did I go and ask her mother for her hand in marriage. Now, there's a reason for
Just
both
doing
things.
whatever they wanted to do.
Well,
So my mom always resented
Resented me for
him
not
and
having
said that he stole me.
right.
Oh,
So
For many years.
Truth be told, I knew if I had gone and asked her mother, she'd have said no.
okay.
Oh,
She wouldn't.
And she told him that.
Yeah,
she
she
would have
said,
said,
yeah, she said,
no.
yeah, I would have told you no. So I was like, you know, they say don't ask a question that you don't want to know. If you know what the answer's going to be and it ain't the answer you want, don't ask the question.
so true.
Well, I was like, I can't ask her mom because
So if you had asked and she would have said no, would you have married her anyway?
I don't know. I don't know what I would have. I probably wouldn't have. I probably would not have.
I remember how we
Probably
said the
would've.
choices they've made and how life is
Yes.
like. If had she
But
stayed in
so-
Jamaica,
But now I got that actually half of the story is kind of proceeds as kind of after the fact because I didn't get down. The reason I never got down on one knee and formally proposed to Sandy was because I wasn't thinking about getting married. Marriage wasn't on my radar at that time in my life. I knew one day, you know, we'd get married and have a, you know, family and all. But you know, we got engaged. That was just kind of just a logical thing. But it wasn't like we were going to be getting married at the time.
So you just got engaged to keep her in that pocket, like, look.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not graduating, but you don't go nowhere. All the little knuckleheads right here. We don't mess with no knuckleheads.
Exactly. Like we in this, but
Put down
you know,
payment
we're
on
not
it.
exactly
Okay.
married yet.
Yeah, put on label.
And so
Whatever.
when Sandy when she graduated, or before you graduated, you had bought those pots.
No, I bought that in my freshman year.
Oh, you played that early then. Okay.
okay.
She had
played that early, dude.
I bought some pot, but it was after she had graduated. It was just kind of like she just started talking to me in a very matter of fact way, like, okay, like when should I schedule this? You know, like who are we inviting? Like
Because I graduated in the December of 83, and we got married the following June.
right.
I'm like, I'm graduated, I got my degree, it's time to get married. So he never really officially asked.
She just
I
told
just
me
told
when we
him
was getting married. Right.
that we're, and that's how I am.
She just said we get married this summer.
Disciplined.
Right. Okay. I was like, all right.
So he was like, go ahead.
So I was like, God,
Do what you gotta
do. What you
do.
gotta do. She planned and everything, and tell me what day I gotta be there. June 23rd at 4:00. I'll be there.
That discipline that was in the house. It's like, okay, I'm gonna finish
Yes.
school first, and then we're
Yep.
gonna get married. It's time for us to get married. Okay, so we're gonna get married next year, and this is what's gonna happen. A, B, C, D.
Exactly.
Okay, since you're a planner, did you plan the first child? Y'all now y'all married. Did you like, okay, we married, our first child will be
Not really.
Not like how they do it
See,
nowadays.
Marvin Gaye died.
That's right. April 1st, 1984.
So the conception came on Marvin Gaye's day.
Yep.
That night. Let's get it on.
Let's get it on. Okay.
That was traumatic.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Kind of like Tupac here for us.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah. That was
Okay.
dramatic. But,
Yep.
so we celebrated Marvin's passing, unfortunately.
So Billy was at the wedding. 6 weeks home. Four,
In the womb.
6
In the
weeks.
womb.
Oh,
Okay, so
old Marvin Gaye.
So what did y'all live? What y'all first place was? When she got
So, okay, Sandy's mom had a home in Rosedale, Queens. And so she had the basement finished as an apartment. So I decided, she offered it to me to rent the apartment. So I was like, okay, I'm looking for my own place.
Because I'm still at school.
She was still in school,
Right.
right? So I was like, okay, I'm looking for my own place because I remember I told you
Oh,
I
that's a
tried to
good
get
way
out
to
of,
keep an eye on you.
you know, mom had, she knew what she was doing. Made the rent so nice and reasonable, have my own entrance, nice and reasonable, park in the driveway, you know.
no doubt.
So I'm like, yeah. So I rented the apartment. So when we got married, that's where we lived for all of what? How many months?
June to October.
Yeah, so 4 months or so, you know. And, you know, you can't have two queens in the castle.
Right.
You know, although her mom was upstairs, we were downstairs. Her mom wanted us to spend time with her and just, you know, we're newlyweds. We, you know,
Yeah, we're trying to spend time with each
just-
other.
just- right. So y'all just wasn't getting along, right? And I was like, okay, we gotta go get.
And that's when y'all moved to.
No, we moved to another part of.
Oh,
we
okay.
rented a house. So this is funny.
Down the block from my
Yeah,
mom.
down the block. That was like about 2 blocks away. This beautiful house in Rosedale. So we're driving around. We had a realtor taking us to look at places, and so the lady, like the guy's like, "What? No, it was a guy.
It was a lady.
The lady. I'm sorry. It's like, all right, I'm gonna take you to this house, you know." And it was like a 2-family house. It was a beautiful house. I'm like, yeah.
She's
That's
like, it may be out your reach, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna take you to show you
Right,
anyway.
because when I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's nice, but we're not there yet. You know,
Right.
Someday, this is what I aspire to have one day.
And as I'm walking up, I'm like, this is where we're moving to.
Right. So she saw it. She's like, oh yeah, this is it.
This is it.
You didn't already say, yeah, that's
Yeah, I'm
right.
like, oh yeah, I'd love to live here, but I can't afford that now. Yeah, you know, that was. I think.
What did you say, saying it?
So
This is where we're gonna live.
yeah, so I think the rent was going to be like $1,000 a month. Now this is
I was about to say,
1985. This is 1985, right?
Yeah,
so
that's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. But it's a whole house. It was a beautiful house, right? So the woman, there was a white couple, Mr. and Mrs. Grella, John and Mary Grella, Italian ladies, gentlemen. They see Sandy, Sandy got a little belly, you know, she pregnant. You know, we're this newlywed couple, like Samantha
Yeah.
Pierre, we look like we're 10 years younger than we really are.
Right.
And so they fall in love with Sandy right away. And they're like, you can get this place. So I'm like, you know, that's a lot of money. So they're like, well, you can rent out the basement and use the money for the rental of the basement to offset your rent.
Wow.
So I'm like,
Airbnb back then in the
yeah, so
80s.
I'm like, yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
And so I forget how much the down payment was. It was a little bit of money, but I've always been a saver. I always been good
I
with
think
money.
it was 3,000.
It was something like that.
Yeah,
It was about $3,000.
first, yeah.
I had it. So I was like, okay, that means I gotta crack my, you know, I don't like to spend money. I'm like, I gotta crack go to my bank account.
Okay.
But you know, this is what it's for, right? So I'm like, okay.
And he was dragging his feet. He was
She's
dragging
like,
his feet.
you gotta come here. We had to be there
Mrs.
by the
Grella
next
called
day
me
with
and
money.
she said, I'm not supposed to do this, but there's this lady and she has cash.
Right. And
She
she's
said,
coming to
tell
get
your
us
husband, because this is your place,
Right.
to bring cash tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So y'all can have this.
And so I got
beat
off
out
the
the other
phone,
people that
and
was
he
getting
still drank. I said, go get me that place.
Wow.
So we wound up getting it, and then we rented out to these 2 sisters. They were correction officers, and they worked at Rikers Island. And so I rented it to them. I think I was charging them $400 a month, and we paid $600. So I said I covered $1,000.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what's up. Exactly. That's what's up.
That's awesome.
And we lived there for like 5 years.
Yep.
And then
That's good.
I was like, then they wanted to sell me the house. But my company, we had been bought by another company, and we closed the Manhattan office, that big office I told you about earlier.
Right.
They closed that, and I was charged with finding us a new facility. But the amount of money, the budget I had to get us a new office space, we couldn't afford anything in Manhattan, couldn't afford anything in New York at all. So I wound up having to get us a place in New Jersey, East Newark. And so I was commuting from Queens to Jersey. I was like, we gotta move. We're gonna buy a house in New Jersey. And Sandy's best friend at work lived in Piscataway, New Jersey. And she's a realtor now, but she wasn't a realtor then, but she found our house. She's like, I found a house for y'all. Y'all gotta come see this house.
I'm sure. I'm
And
get
that's
my
how
best
we-
friend
that's
over
how we
here.
wound up moving to
Yep.
New
New
Jersey.
Jersey. Okay.
That was like 1989.
Yeah, because Christina was born 88.
Right, Christine was like a couple months old.
Oh,
Okay, so
they
now
moved to
you
New
got-
Jersey.
So now you got 2.
Now we got 2. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So why y'all in Georgia?
At work.
Well, before that, we have Samaria.
Right. Before we came to Georgia.
Right. And even before that, at 30, I had breast cancer.
Right.
And after that, after I finished chemo and started tamoxifen, I got pregnant with Samaria, even though they told
After
me I
they told
couldn't
you
get
couldn't
pregnant.
be pregnant again. They said you won't have any more children. We're like, okay,
We
we've
have
been blessed.
two.
God had a different plan.
Yeah.
Just like Sarah in the Bible. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And so even after I had her, I kept getting sick a lot. And so a buddy of yours called you and said, I have an opportunity for you. And he said, I'd pay you your salary and Sandy's salary to
If you
move to
moved,
Georgia.
if you moved to Atlanta.
Hey,
And she wouldn't have to work.
We about to move. And she wouldn't have to work. That's
And
good.
I had pmonia. I had pneumonia that day.
Hold on.
And it was a friend of yours that
Not,
called
well,
you.
actually, it was one of my former bosses.
Okay.
My ex-boss had come down here, and him and another guy, he's an Italian guy, him and a brother started this logistics company, a freight forwarding company.
Okay.
And he was like, man, we need you to come down here and be our general manager. We need you to come down here and help us run this organization. And I was like, man, I had left the, so it was, let me just finish this story. When I had left the television hospital business and I was in consumer product goods, I was working for PepsiCo, Frito-Lay for a little while, then I just had joined Nabisco, was who I retired from. I was working with Nabisco, and I was killing it. We was having a great year. We had a great year. And so when he contacted me, I was like, I'm like on the top of my game. I don't want to mess this up, And then he just made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. He's like, listen, man, we need you down here. What's it going to take? And I'm like, well, this is what I'm making now, da, da, da. But, my wife wants to find her job. He said, well, how much she make? And I said, well, this is what she makes. He said, well, I'll pay you that. And I was like, okay.
How does that work? How is it like, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. It's just going to go this way. Just like Stan and say, we're going to get this house right here.
So I was like,
I mean, you got a company that try to pay you less as possible so they can have a good profit. And
But also,
pay
if
your salary
they need you and your services and what you, like, the question that they asked you on some of the interviews, like, what can you do for this company? So they knew what he could do.
at the end of the day, I know I'm always going to make them way more money than they're going to be paying me.
Right. So pay
I know
me.
that. So whatever you're paying me is you're going to get yours. You're winning. You're winning because you get my services. So, but it got to work out for both of us. So that's when, 2000, we had I'd never been south of, I went to Wilmington, North Carolina once in my life when I was 10. The furthest, the south of me was Washington, D.C. That was the south.
And we would have been very happy to stay where we are in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful friends, wonderful community, church. We were deacon and deaconess for one of the big churches in New Jersey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
great.
There was no reason to leave.
Okay.
None.
Except
Except they paid me enough money to say, okay, we gotta go. I was like, you can stop working. And she's like, okay, because Samari's little, and it's like, well, Samari's going into 3rd grade.
Oh.
Christine was starting middle school and Billy was starting high school. So I was like, you can be a stay-at-home mom.
And because they're starting the new school anyway, kind of, yeah.
So
it's
it's
a
like-
good time to move.
Can you believe that a company would really pay 2 people's salaries for one guy way back then? The Mayos were really blessed. They were blessed. And it was a good time to move. All right, that ends part 3 of the Mayos. Stay tuned for part 4 and the final episode of the Mayos. From the mind to the lips to the heavens. Until next time, peace from the heart.
There's room for you, room for me, for gentle hearts and opportunity. It's the big